What is happening, my friends? Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show, your go to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered takes on the biggest stories of the day, whether it's politics, sports, pop culture, or the latest buzz. Look, we're diving deep and keeping it real. So do me a favor, kick back, stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. Look, my friends, on today's convo, we are going to be talking a little bit of everything, right? I'm going to follow up with some more. Um, Talking about Stephen A. Smith because on the last episode I didn't really have time to uh read you this article that came across my feed, and I'm like, this is actually quite interesting. So I'll share a little bit of that, then we're going to get going in the sports entertainment world, in world wrestling entertainment specifically. The founder, Vince McMahon, just won a major case. We'll talk a little bit about that later on, as well as radio and TV personality, really a radio Hall of Famer and icon, Wendy Williams, is getting close to signing a deal to end her guardianship, which is, hey, is really good news if you haven't been following up with Wendy Williams' life in the past, I don't know, a few, maybe 4 or 5 years. So we got a lot of stuff to impact within this hour. But as always, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Uh, just 1 hour of your time for chiming into the Arrington Gavin Show. Look, we continue to grow each and every time. We're growing in our subscribers, listenerships, and viewerships. Man, I couldn't just say thank you enough. Let's keep that momentum going. We want to keep growing our audience. We want to keep getting in so many markets and growing in the masses, really, because we're here. We're not trying to sway folks. We're just here just to have a conversation, a simple conversation that you might have along with your family, at the family reunions or cookouts. I mean, just typical conversation that, in my opinion, the world is really missing out on, because you learn so much in a conversation. You can agree to disagree, but you can also be on your day and still have respectable conversation. That's what we do here on the program. Look, I have folks on all opposing sides of the political aisle, sports, entertainment, pop, you name it. I have folks that we might not always see eye to eye, but we respect each other's opinion. We're passionate, and we just keep it 100. That's what we do here. I said that very preppy. We keep it 100. Yes. Not 100. 100. 100. Yes. Look, I'm from the burbs. Okay, can't help it. Um, but also, my friends, thank you so much for just putting your trust in follow and continue to follow us. And look, we bring great content 5 days a week, Monday through Fridays, available on all digital and streaming platforms of YouTube as well as Rumble. So look, new episodes drop Monday through Fridays at 7 p.m. on YouTube and Rumble, as well as wherever you listen to your podcasts, whether it's iHeartRadio app, um, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, um, wherever you listen to your podcast, you can tune into the program. And then you can check out episodes of our show as well, Monday through Fridays, out in the Metro Atlanta market, Monday through Fridays at 11 p.m. on our radio affiliate WDJY 99.1 FM, straight talk out of the Metro Atlanta area, as well as online at the same time, WDJYFM.com. So we want to thank you. We want to continue to grow the platform, get it in more radio airways. We want to continue to grow our audience. So yeah, we thank you. We thank you. Now let me go ahead and shout out some of our supporters of the show, like some of our friends here, like who's some of our supporters I can shout out real quick before we head to a quick commercial break. Let me shout out our friends over at Priority Ford. That's right, my friends, Priority Ford. If you are looking for a great vehicle, look, then I highly recommend checking out my friends. Hit up my boy Mr. James Church. Him and his team at Priority Ford will give you the hookup. Look, looking for the best deals on Ford vehicles in the Norfolk area? At Priority Ford, they make your car buying experience smooth, easy, and exciting. From powerful trucks like the Ford F-150 to versatile SUVs like the Ford Explorer, They've got the perfect ride for your lifestyle. And with Priority for Life, you can get complimentary oil changes, state inspections, and more for as long as you owned your vehicle. Plus, they have financing options that are fit every budget. So why wait? Visit Priority Ford on Military Highway in Norfolk, Virginia, or you can check them out online at priorityford.com. Your dream car is waiting. All right, my friends. So look, stop waiting and go ahead and get that dream car that you've been wanting. So I want to thank Priority Ford for being a proud supporter of the Arrington Gavin Show. All right, my friends, look, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We have a lot more show for you. You are tuning into the Arrington Gavin Show.
Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Order our scented beard oils and beard balms to help you maintain and grow the perfect beard. Order today. Try our men's care products like the full body exfoliating cleansing bars, body wash, smooth stash, and more. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. We're your luxury but affordable men's care line. And remember,
rugged is the new smooth.
What's going on, happy people? Happy people. Welcome back to the Arrington Gavin Show. I am your friend, your homie, Arrington Gavin. Look, do me a quick favor while you're tuning into the program. Follow us on our social media platforms. You can check us out on Instagram at the Arrington Gavin Show, Blue Sky, X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as on Substack. All right. Those are some platforms you can find us on. You can also check us out on our Patreon page where we provide exclusive content on there. If you really want to get down and dirty and really tune into some great content, look, for only $2.99 a month, you can do that. So again, I challenge you all to check those out. We provide some great content on there. All right, so let me continue on the last show. I was talking about Stephen A. Smith, right? Stephen A. Smith, fair or an opportunist. And I say that because he is made a career of being a pro debater, specifically in the sports world. That's when we first found out about Stephen A. Smith, successful journalist, HBCU grad. He gained success of the hit sports debate show First Take. He's been on there for 13 years. He's the longest running member because it was him and Skip Bayless. As we know the story with Skip Bayless, I think after maybe 7 years, he said sayonara, went to a whole nother network, started a similar program in Undisputed along with Shannon Sharp. That lasted for about 7 years, and Shannon left. Actually, ended up going to ESPN to First Take. Undisputed didn't, never could grow after that, and so First Take reigned as supreme. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up because Stephen A. Smith is the highest paid voice on ESPN. I think he makes maybe around 10 to 11 million. He's up for a new contract. I think he's pushing to make at least 20 million a year. He knows his worth. He speaks about it a lot on his own show as well as other publications. He has his own YouTube show and podcast called The Stephen A. Smith Show. I tune in regularly. I'm a Stephen A. Smith fan. I don't always agree with him, but I have been a fan of his for some years. His style, his extremely intelligent. He brings great points because he's a pro debater. He brings great points. But this article caught my attention recently. It's on awfulannouncing.com, which is preferably, I think it's predominantly like sports related stories that you will tune into. But this one just caught my attention because I'm like, wait, am I reading? What am I reading here? It's titled "The Joe Roganization of Stephen A. Smith is Here." And it says Stephen A. Smith is riding the coattails of Donald Trump's election as president to become a conservative media star. Now, uh, this was published by DJ Dunson of Awful Announcing. Now, I actually want to try and get in contact with DJ because again, I think it's interesting. And I'll just read a little bit of it, and then I'll kind of give you my take on just Stephen A. Smith. It says here, there's an art to earning a critical mass of followers in this fractured ecosystem of media chatterboxes. But Stephen A. Smith's ability to retain attention is another feature entirely. Now in his 13th year of yelling takes over the sound of his ego on First Take. Smith's peer in the sports debate arena, Skip Bayless, has been phased out at FS1. As Bayless' shtick grew stale, his audience shrank, and that's very true because Skip Bayless, he eventually started his own podcast. Not doing good with the numbers, but hey, at his age, he's like, hey, look, I'm still relevant. I have my fan base. I'm made a lot of money in my past. I'm good. Or is he? I don't know. Says here, whereas Stephen A. Smith has adapted a clear and fresh path to become a mogul in the attention economy. Now, he already has. I remember when Stephen A. Smith announced his podcast, the podcast was initially named No Mercy. Then he changed it in the self-titled Stephen A. Smith Show. I have seen that show start off with, with no YouTube to now having over 1 million subscribers. Pretty damn impressive, in my opinion. During most recent election cycle, Smith's forays into political punditry grew more frequent and earned him as many plaudits as his rhetoric on First Take or NBA Countdown. Now, in the wake of Donald Trump's reelection, says here that Smith's pontifications have crescendoed into a direct relationship with the MAGA universe on Fox News, News Nation, and through eponymous Stephen A. Smith show, yes, which was launched in the summer of 2022. As I mentioned, it was under the name No Mercy at the time. It then had relaunched, and I'll be honest, I love the show. The show is he owns it. He owns it outright, and he can do what he wants on that program. He can speak about sports. He can speak about politics. He can speak about anything. See, on ESPN, he only can speak about sports. He can only speak about sports. Here, he speaks about everything. More politics and pop culture, less sports. What I've noticed now, Stephen A. Smith is very public about being a registered independent, which, hey, I'm team independent over here. Nothing wrong with that. He's great on calling both sides out. Now, in my opinion, I don't see him trying to become a media star in the conservative world. That I don't see. Now, is he seen on a lot of conservative outlets? I've seen him. He's good friends with Sean Hannity. He's on Sean Hannity's show pretty often. He's now been on News Nation's Cuomo. He's good friends with Chris Cuomo, another independent-minded person. He's been on there all the time, kind of speaking as the more liberal point to, like, he has Bill O'Reilly on that show. Chris Cuomo, he has Bill O'Reilly on that show on a weekly basis as well. So you have the two kind of going head to head. Look, Stephen A. Smith is a perfect debater. There was a soundbite of him voicing his opinion with Sean Hannity. He didn't back down from it. He shared his true, honest opinion. He's been on is it Dave Rubin's podcast, a conservative talker. He's been on I've mentioned Sean Hannity. Oh gosh, he's been on pretty much everybody's show that embraces Trump. But again, you can't sway Stephen A. in my opinion, I think is genius. I think it's very smart because he's giving you upfront honesty. He doesn't care who his side doesn't like it. He's giving you his honest opinion. Um, but he gets a lot of heat when he talks about one side, he's cool. When he talks about the other side, that side is not cool with him anymore. And it's just like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And again, when I saw this title, I'm like, him and Joe Rogan, in my opinion, are two different people. Now, here's the thing. Joe Rogan is an icon in the podcasting world. Okay, he's truly an icon in the podcasting world. Joe Rogan initially, actor, comedian, did podcasting really just to bring on a lot of his comedic friends. That's how it was until he started to have more like, influential, not just influential, but people like, historians, people that serve the military. He had a little bit of everybody on the program. Now, I would say in the last I'll just say 2026, because that was when I think Trump really came into the political scene. Rogan was still critical on both parties. He rarely would talk about Trump, but he would just let you know, like, hey, look, I voted third party during the Hillary and Trump election. So boom, that was said that. Then all of a sudden, he started to, under the 4 years of Biden, he started to have a shift. He was saying he got caught up saying some off the wall things where I think, people start boycotting him. He then what I thought was interesting, and again, I'm all for having people of all political aisles and just a little bit of everybody. Everybody's always invited to this program. As I mentioned, as long as you do not promote hate speech or hatred towards specific group or individuals, I don't play. So if I see in the past, or if I see that that's what your career has been based on, I'm not going to entertain that. He's had Alex Jones a couple of times, which I really, really, still to this day, it's not was an awful idea to do. He's then went on to have Donald Trump, which really a lot of folks that said Joe Rogan is the man that really helped Trump win that seat, because Joe Rogan, and I'm just spitting out a number here, that man probably averages 5 million listeners to his podcast on a regular. You hear me? Easy, 3 to 5 million, easy. That just listen to his podcast. When he had Trump on there, see, a lot of Joe Rogan's audience is the, quote unquote over masculine guys, the UFC's, jocks, and the conservative ones, right? That like loves the hunt, that can care less about PETA, all that stuff. Like that's some of his prime audience members. He had Trump on, gained a lot of views, and it was the rest was history. But I bring that up to say, I think Joe and Stephen A, two different folks, right? Two different people, two different audiences. But I will say, I think Stephen A plays a little more fair than Joe. Joe, sometimes he starts, in my opinion, to be more, he might be right leaning independent, and Stephen A is a left leaning independent in my opinion. Of what I've seen from the two, if I have to compare both content to each other. But hey, folks enjoy Stephen A because Stephen A does not leave being pissed off with Sean Hannity. He doesn't leave saying I'm bitter about this election. He flat out said, look, it in certain scenarios, folks that voted for Kamala, we feel like fools. Now, I ain't gonna say I feel like a fool, because I was still confident with my decision, and I'm not gonna really go into into details, but he says stuff like that really triggers folks on the left, right? And stuff like that, gives on the right, they respect him for it. They respect him. But then when he calls your boy out, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't stand him. But I still will tolerate Stephen A and this and that and the other. And on top of that, he's really one of the top top sports voices, where again a lot of folks on the right, they still love their sports. So you love to get Stephen A. Smith's opinion on it. Let me read a little more on this article. Then I want to read you another story that involves Stephen A. Smith. Let's see here. Says here, Rogan also moonlights as the host of most listened to podcasts in the world. The Afar, the Joe Rogan Experience is a low effort propaganda machine that purports to be an impartial podcast for free thinkers. Very true. I do agree with that. Sometimes you have some episodes that's a little iffy in my opinion. In reality, the show has positioned itself as a to go far right microphone, and that's true because in my opinion, Joe Rogan shot himself in the foot when he openly endorsed Donald Trump the day before election day. The day before, to me, that hurt me because again, I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan too, and I'm just like, Joe, you man, you down with the okie doke. You just because one guy gave you the time of the day, literally 3 hours to have a conversation with you, and now you're, oh, I believe him, and this man. I mean, let me tell you something. Joe is employed by Dana White. Dana White is one of the ones that worships the ground that Trump's walk on. So obviously, I ain't gonna go into details with that. But let me see here. Yeah, I've always been a Stephen A. Smith fan, but when I saw this, I thought it was quite interesting because again, Stephen A. Smith does have an avenue. It just shows his true talent because he can easily have a political show in a heartbeat and have a sports show in a heartbeat and speak on them on two separate channels and still succeed. That's what he's doing now with his Stephen A. Smith show, with his YouTube show. The YouTube show again is more politically driven, and ESPN First Take is more sports driven. So it shows how talented this guy is. Now he's made comments, about maybe I could run for office, maybe I could do this, do that, but he's big on calling out the left, which I love it. I love it because as much as I do support them on occasions, in this case, they gotta hear it. They gotta hear those mistakes. They gotta hear that tough love. If you're trying to overcome and be a competitor, you gotta hear that tough love. Let me go ahead and share this recent story because this is what pisses people off too about Stephen A. Let me go ahead and bring up this story. So in the recent during the Super Bowl halftime show, I don't know if y'all remember seeing that Serena Williams was a guest star, or she was a featured on the Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime. Let me see if I can grab that photo. There we go. She was a feature on there, and she was crip walking to the song and whatnot. And Stephen A. shared on, I want to say he shared, I think on First Take, and just weighed in like, basically, so if my wife, goes on national TV to clap back at her ex-boyfriend, then you know what? You just need to go on to him. Don't what are you doing here with me? That's quite disrespectful. That was his words. That was his words, and that really did not sway with a lot of listeners. And I thought it was he had me thinking. Let me see if I can actually find that direct quote. So just even okay, so they don't have the direct quote, but that's literally what he has said. And in my opinion, I thought that was petty because it's like, okay, are you trying to cause tension in a someone else's life? Are you trying to cause tension in someone else's relationship and marriage? Like, to me, that was petty, and it's probably why, your ass ain't with nobody. I mean, I think he's with somebody, but he's not married. He's probably almost 60 years old, and it's the reason why I guess his relationship situations never really work out. I'm just saying, like, when you say stuff like that, it shows, okay, I see what kind of guy Stephen A is in the relationship scene. Because yes, Serena Williams was walking to the song "Not Like Us," obviously a diss track towards Drake, and it just showed her enjoying herself. And I did not know that Serena Williams and Drake dated. I did not know. I did not know. I want to be like, dang, how many people did Serena date in the past? I knew she was with Lord have mercy, Common, her former tennis coach, who else? I think those are the only folks I have. I know I'm missing some folks. I know I'm forgetting some people, but I can't. I just Anyway. She married now. She's happily married, and obviously he's a very lucky man. But but yeah, so a lot of folks didn't like that, and obviously Whoopi Goldberg, voiced her opinion on it. Of course, she's gonna say something. It's her job too, because she's on The View, where she shares her view, and she has the right to. But I just think I just thought it was interesting because it does bring a debate uh that has been put out on social media. Like, okay, if her whole thing was to just kind of take a little jab at Drake, which, I mean, again, I didn't know at the time of their past relationship, but also Serena is from the California area. I think she is from Compton, or I know she's from the Bay Area. I know she's from California. That I do know, but I think she is from Compton. So for those, if you go back in the music video, Not Like Us music video, he had his whole town a part of it. Celebrate, like, it was really not just a diss track, in my opinion. I think it was just celebrating his community, embracing the culture, all that good stuff. Guess what? Serena is a part of that culture. So why can't she just be like, hey, look what came out of our community. The greatest female tennis player, really one of the greatest female athletes of our lifetime, of all times. I mean, multi award winning, multi talented businesswoman. Just that came out of our community. So yeah, girl, you go ahead and crip walk, celebrate that, man. That's something to be proud of. But because somebody probably told from through the grapevine that she was really making a shot at Draco, Stephen A. gonna say, "Let me tell you something. If that was my woman," and then man, so obviously he's receiving that heat. But that kind of goes back to why folks are always back and forth with Stephen A. I look at it as like, look, he loves to share his opinion, his honest opinion, like it or love it. It works, it sells. Like I said, I'm a fan. I know a lot of my friends will say that Stephen A gets on their nerves, but I've always been a fan. And actually, one of my mentors is his manager, and I think EP of his show, CNA show, if I'm not mistaken. So that's just me, my 2 cents. Let me go ahead and digress, my friends. Matter of fact, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more here on the Arrington Gavin show. Do not go anywhere. We got a lot of more show in store for you. So we'll be right back after this commercial break. What's happening, my friends? Welcome back to the Arrington Gavin show. I was about to see what experience. So yikes! No, welcome back to the Arrington Gavin show. Look, I want to talk about this next story. As you know, I'm a huge wrestling fan, and Vince McMahon is by far one of the the biggest villains, but also the founder, the face of one of the largest companies in the world in the WWE World Wrestling Entertainment. Look, Vinnie Mac has been in some hot water lately with a lot of these allegation charges and this and that. And I don't know if you saw the Netflix documentary. I mean, it's been so much happening with him. And again, going back to the Super Bowl, there was images of him and his son, as well as the Undertaker, but him and his son was in attendance to the most recent Super Bowl in New Orleans. And look, the man's still a billionaire. The man has money. At his age, he's chiseled in shape. He has been absent from the limelight of the WWE scene because of those allegations. And so recently it was reported that Vince McMahon's attorney claims that federal criminal investigation has been dropped. Okay, so let's read some more about that. So it says here that in a New York Post reports, a lawyer representing Vince McMahon told them that federal prosecutors in Manhattan have dropped their criminal investigations against him. McMahon was being investigated for allegedly attempting to cover up multiple allegations of sexual misconduct. Recently, the U.S. Second Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that McMahon's lawyer was wrong to withhold more than 200 pages of documents related to the case, unless there was an appeal to the Supreme Court. Now, McMahon's team would have submitted those documents to a grand jury. However, McMahon's lawyer, Robert W. Allen, told the Post that the court ruling is immaterial because the case against McMahon has been closed. So I'm reading a quote here from the attorney. It says that this is simply the result of an appeal of procedural matter that was argued 5 months ago. We have been in consistent communication with the government since the time and understand with no ambiguity that the investigation has definitely concluded and will not result in charges. McMahon was being investigated for attempting to hide allegations of sexual misconduct from two former female employees that he paid $10.5 million in hush money to stay quiet. Then recently, a group of appeal judges considered whether McMahon broke the law by hiding the allegations. Says here that his attorney stressed the prosecutors ended the probe without asking the grand jury to bring any indictment against McMahon. The apparent decision by prosecutors to drop case against McMahon is despite federal judges ruling. So let me see here. It says here, okay, McMahon still facing civil charges related to the sexual assault allegations by a Janelle Grant, a former WWE employee. The Department of Justice requested a 6-month pause on the Grant's cause in June of 2024 to open a criminal investigation. They resumed their investigation in December. Grant's lawyers recently filed an amended lawsuit against McMahon that introduced new allegations and evidence. I mean, here's the thing. As successful as he is, right? His character really started to become a realistic individual. McMahon always played the guy that, hey, will mess around on his wife with some of the younger talent. That was in the storyline. And then it starts coming out in later years that, oh, this was really some harassment and this and the other, and it's just like, what is going on? And McMahon has been caught up in allegations like this multiple times. He's been resigning, coming back, selling stock and this, that. Like, it's so much, and it's so much to discuss, and it's so much to really like pinpoint, okay, who's telling the truth, who's telling the line. Now, obviously, this was a win for him because, hey, some allegations that's been dropped. The case said drop it, but he's still facing some more. He has a lot of money, he has a lot of influence, he has a lot of prominent friends as well in high places. So we will see. I doubt it that we'll ever see him in the WWE ring ever again. Just because with all the allegations, I think that will really hurt the brand of World Wrestling Entertainment. You know, they have a new face now being in on Netflix with Monday Night Raw, which they're still fluctuating with numbers. I think they had a rating drop at first after the premiere, and they're trying to find a way to keep that momentum going. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot. We will see. They have new leadership there. They have, you know, three new. I mean, they have. Excuse me. They have a total of three brands now. You got Raw, you got SmackDown, you got NXT, you got reality TV shows now. Um, Obviously podcasters that are in it. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting to see the dynamic, the transition, and on top of that, WWE are signing. You know, they have some form of like partnership with AEW or what is it? Oh gosh, what is it called? Ring of Honors, one of the two. I mean, it's so many brands out there. But yeah, just I felt like sharing this with you guys because it has been a minute since we've heard from Vince McMahon. And you know, again, when it circulated that he was on when he was at the Super Bowl, look, he seemed like he was enjoying himself, having a good time. Like I said, he's rich. He could care less about allegations. Is not the first time he had to go to court. Okay, so he's obviously not caring. Uh, let's move it on, my friends. Let's move it on to some more juicy news here. Well, look here. I think this is a praise report right here. So Wendy Williams, the one and only Wendy Williams, Radio Hall of Famer, TV TV icon. It was just announced recently that they're coming close to ending her guardianship. Now, this is from TMZ. Let me go ahead and play you this soundbite here, guys, and we'll talk on the other side. Let me go ahead and play that for you. Here we go.
Just hours after our documentary dropped on Tubi about Wendy Williams, the wheels are now in motion to end her guardianship. We found out that Wendy has just signed an affidavit formally asking the judge to terminate the guardianship. She says, and these are the words in this affidavit, we're told, that she has regained her capacity to function normally. It's true, a couple of years ago, she did not have that capacity. But anybody who watches this documentary, I think it's going to be clear that has all changed. She seems like the old Wendy right now. Now, we are also told that next Tuesday, she will be reevaluated by a doctor. And it's a doctor selected not by the guardian, but by her personal lawyer, who is now working with her to end the guardianship. Wendy says in this affidavit, she is clear. She says she does not have frontotemporal dementia. Now, that's how she had been diagnosed previously. But as we say in this documentary, frontotemporal dementia never gets better. People only get worse. If you watched her in the Lifetime documentary, she was here. Now she's here. It's very clear listening to her, watching her in the documentary. How can she get better if you never get better with that diagnosis? A lot of people, including Wendy, believe she was misdiagnosed. Now, there will be an emergency order to show cause filed a week from today, Wednesday, asking the judge formally to end this guardianship. If the judge says no, we're told Wendy's lawyer will then demand a jury trial, which you can get in New York, where jurors will decide, does Wendy now have the capacity to live as a free woman? That is a big deal. A lot has changed in just hours after this documentary dropped. But this is something that has been a long time in coming for Wendy. I will say personally, I've spoken with her for hours on end, and Wendy Williams is back to being the Wendy Williams we all know.
So then that was Harvey Levin, the founder of TMZ, the popular I guess what would you call it, like blog pop. I mean, TMZ is, you know, the Hollywood, like a reporting company that where they, you know, yeah, paparazzi. I always find a lot of celebrities and influencers, they enjoy and respect TMZ. Like they always answer their questions, things like that. And Harvey Levin is a practiced attorney. Like he has a law degree. He's an attorney, and so he was sharing those legal documents. TMZ has for the past couple years at least that I've seen them. They have these documentaries. I guess they partnered with Tubi, and they'll always produce these interesting documentaries. I think they recently just did one talking about Wendy Williams. Now before that, you had Wendy Williams had a docu series on Lifetime that was showing some very uh very sad moments for Miss Williams, right? It was moments of seeing her unable to to talk, unable to stay coherent. I mean, it was moments where it's just like, I mean, it was moments of her binge drinking. It was showing all the bad sides of Wendy. As you know, Wendy had a long, successful talk show called the Wendy Williams Show, and there were moments where she had to take personal time off, where they started to have a lot of fill-in hosts for her. Sherry Shepard did it pretty often until eventually people loved Sherry, and it blessed her with her own show. And now Sherry has so much success, won an awards for her show, and we want to continue seeing that success for Sherry. But as far as for Wendy could never come back 100%, and it was basically they ended her show. Uh, it showed her having, just health issues. She's permanently like in a motor scooter. Then you start hearing about this guardianship. We know guardianships through figures like oh Lord, Britney Spears, right? Britney Spears was in that whole conservatorship. Now Wendy was in this, but the thing is, Wendy's under conservatorship with someone that's not related to Wendy. Usually they keep it with somebody that's family related, but there has been a long campaign um from that was started from like her niece and just Wendy's family saying, look, we need to help her. We need to get Wendy out of this guardianship, because this lady, all she's doing is taking her money and not treating her right. They have her locked up, cooped up in a room. She can't get this, she can't get that. She barely has a regular cell phone. I mean, it was extremely sad. They did the first time you saw appearance from Wendy was when she was at her son's college graduation. Right, she has one child, and that was the only time you really saw her publicly. And so this is reported by the Post. Says here that Wendy Williams has taken the next steps into her battle for freedom. She was on, guys, The Breakfast Club. She was on Don Lemon's show. She was on so many programs. Like I said, she spoke with TMZ, and Harvey has said, just like Charlamagne the God said, Wendy don't sound like she's you know deteriorating. She doesn't seem like she's incapacitated to do this. Like, she does not seem like that at all. Harvey said the same thing. That's two prominent figures that is giving their honest opinion on like what they're hearing. You heard it from Harvey. He's like saying, look, when she started that documentary series, she was at a low point. Now she's at a high point. The Wendy we all know and love is back, and that's what he's saying. Says here that the former host signed an affidavit recently asking a judge to end her guardianship. Sources told the outlet that Williams claimed she regained capacity to function without her court guardianship. Excuse me, her court-ordered guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, who has been in charge of her well-being and finances since 2022. Y'all, you hear me? 2022. Insiders also shared that she will allegedly be reevaluated by a doctor, and adding the physician was handpicked by Williams' legal team, whom she hired to end her guardianship. Her attorneys, Wendy's attorneys, already have plans to place if the judge turns down the request, with sources telling TMZ that Wendy Williams will demand a jury trial to hear her plea. Now, the Post has reached out to Williams' lawyer, with one declining to comment. Her other attorney, Jason Atlas, responded that everyone in this case has Wendy's best interest at heart, and we all expect that the ultimate outcome will be in line with those best interests. Um, Again, guys, for the longest, we've always asked, like, how's Wendy doing? How's she doing? Because they will catch bad moments of her looking very ill, pale, you know, just eyes like, just big bulging eyes, and she looks unhealthy. And again, that documentary did not help. I didn't see the full doc, but they showed, bits and pieces of it, and there was just moments where, this lady's drinking straight vodka. I'm like, what is happening? We did not know. And Wendy has been very vocal about her past substance abuse, right? She's been sober from those, and but she is, she is an ill woman. She has illnesses just like everybody else, right? Whether if it's arthritis, this, that. I believe she has some form of I don't know if it's, don't get me quoted, I don't want to say Lyme's disease, but it's somewhere in that ballpark. And so she has just, she's been out of the limelight. Now, it would be dope because there was some folks saying, oh my gosh, she should have her podcast, she should do this, she should do that. Because Wendy tells it like it is, man. We first came to love Wendy on radio, and she's even said, like, TV was about the money. Radio was my love, my passion. So, hey, it might be a chance to her to make that radio comeback, or like I said, do podcasting, go on a streaming platform. There's so many. Digital is the way to go, my friends. It is the way to go. So I, reposted about it on my social media, and I just said, want to keep Wendy Williams in your thoughts and prayers, and her family, because again, this process is it's difficult. It's difficult. But we just hope that she can receive her freedom back, and that everything else is perfectly fine there. I mean, she wants to, live in Miami, get out the city, and just be closer to family in the Florida side. So it will be nice to see that happen, and I hope it does. Let me digress from that story, y'all. Next up, we have Luigi Mangione, the gentleman that recently, we all know him as the gentleman who killed the CEO of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. He was killed by Luigi Mangione. This is crazy what I'm about to show you guys and share. So our world is interesting. And what I mean by that is, when we live in a world where killers, serial killers, we're in a world where villains are praised and will garner a fan base. Luigi Mangione had been seen to some as a hero because the healthcare industry is not loved by, in insurance companies, they're not loved by a lot of folks. They're not loved by a lot of folks. I'm looking at my dog. Hold on, let me get this guy out of here. I'm back, guys. had my buddy keeping my company here, and he starts looking at that door, and I'm like, oh snap, it's about that time. All right, where was I? So Luigi Mangione. We live in a society, my friends, where the insurance companies, the they are not, especially when it comes to health insurance, they are not respected by a lot of folks, because sometimes it's seen as a scam. It's like, oh my gosh, you're doing this, you're doing that. I need this in order to do that. I need that in order to do this. And it's unfair. Sometimes they can just take your privileges away. We don't no longer cover this, but I need this. It's a back and forth, right? It's not even a love-hate. It's just a hate relationship. So when Luigi Mangione, when he took the life of an innocent man, folks praise Luigi. Luigi was like he's the heartthrob because he's good looking, he's ripped. Oh, he did a good thing. Like, I'm like, what are we talking about, people? Regardless of how you feel about your insurance companies, this is not okay. This man shot this man in his back, killed him. You hear me? Killed him. Took a life. This man was a husband, a father, a friend, a brother, a cousin. Like, you should never wish harm on your worst enemy. So I bring this up because Luigi Mangione reportedly accepts over $300,000 donated by fans for his legal defense. Are you me? To be exact, it's around like $326,580. Says here that according to the December 4th Legal Committee, a group that is raising funds for his legal representation, and I quote, we are not here to celebrate violence, but we do believe in the constitutional right of a fair legal representation. That's a BS remark, because the violence has been met. Like, why is this even a trial? It's footage. It's footage, y'all. Like, it's just, but it needs to be a fair trial. Fair in what way? Like, it's crazy. The group said online, fundraising site Give and Go, that it has been in touch with Mangione's legal team, who is willing to accept the money raised on his behalf. Now, another thing you got to remember, Mangione comes from money. He comes from a wealthy family. You know why they didn't give him? Because the man was guilty. It's clear as day that he was found guilty. People, like, where's the moral compass? Where's the moral compass? Says here that the group has raised nearly, I mentioned close to $28,000. Excuse me. Several of the donations comments include anecdotes from people who claim to have personal experiences with a broken healthcare system, and others stated Mangione deserves a right to a fair trial. Y'all piece of work. 26 years old, facing multiple murder charges in the death of Thompson, who was shot and killed outside of a hotel in New York in December. Thompson, a husband, a father, was on his way to an annual investors meeting for the healthcare company when he was killed. Now, multiple day manhunt led to Mangione's arrest at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania because of federal charges against Mangione. He could face the death penalty. He currently is being held in prison in Brooklyn. Again, y'all, I can understand, like, there was at one point where, and I'm forgetting which company or it was, but they said that after a certain amount, you can only sustain only a certain amount of anesthesia will cover. The rest you gotta have to cover out of pocket. My friends and I, we brought up the example of, okay, so if you are if you are under the knife, emergency happens. You can't. That's not your fault. Anything can happen when you're under the knife. So if that extends the anesthesia, and that means they got to pay that out of pocket, like, that's little things that really piss people off with the healthcare system. Also, there was times where United Healthcare had stopped covering, say, X, Y, and Z for people, yet they've made like so much profit at the end or towards the end of the 2024 year. That stuff is not okay to some folks, especially hardworking folks that have bad health or that needs that support from the healthcare industries. Like, that stuff right there ensures they need that assistance. So again, to some, or not to some, to most, Mangione was looked upon as a hero. Now, I still think this is a bad look for folks that are giving this amount of money to this guy, because in my opinion, you are praising a killer. I know he hasn't been, there's still a long going investigation, but the proof is in the footage. The proof is in the footage. Was he not gonna say, "That wasn't me"? No, he didn't continue to run once he got caught. Once they caught him, they arrested him. It was no tussle. He knows what he did was wrong. He knows what he did was wrong. You can look, and I'm not condoning this, but I'm just saying if he had like if he came up to the guy, because here's the thing, he didn't have the guts to walk up face to face. He said, "No, let me do it behind my back with a silencer." That's some cold. You know what? I'm trying so hard not to cuss, but that is so cold. It's disgusting that this individual is being praised by so many. It's disgusting. But you know what? That's the world we live in, y'all. And that's the issue that it exists in this world when it comes to, you guys are praising murderers out here, giving your money because he's looked upon as here. It's disgusting. It's sickening. And I hope justice will be served. For the Thompson family, it's sad that they had to lose a loved one in that way. It blows my mind, y'all. That's all it does. It really just blows my mind. All right, for the next few minutes, I want to share this story with you. Pat Mahomes Sr. Was recently seen in a video being involved in a tussle with another former let me see if I can try and find it. Another former Major League Baseball player in, I think John Rocker is his name. Yeah, John Rocker. And so Pat Mahomes Sr., the father of Patrick Mahomes, quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, who recently had a tough loss in the Super Bowl, is seen getting irate with, I don't know if he was a former teammate, but just another former baseball player, Johnny Rocker. And it's a clip that shows the two on Bourbon Street. They're all having a good time. It looks like Johnny Rocker's like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" He extends his hands, and then Mahomes slaps his hand away from him, and then all of a sudden they start going back and forth, and then it's like, uh-oh, and they had to break it up. They basically had to break it up because they were going to come to blows. And so I'm looking at my time. I'm running a little low on time, so I'll share the comments more on our social media, but in our Patreon most likely. But it's like, look, Mr. Mahomes Sr., grow up, please. You already made your son look bad when you got caught in a DUI. You even said who you're the father of. You said it. Please stop being a nuisance. Grow up. Set a good example for your grandkids, for your children. Like, it's just that's the sickening part when I see grown people that mess their kids' career. And really, he hasn't, but it's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. Like I get it. You salty that the fact that your son lost, and stuff like that. But it's just, come on, dude. You grown. The guy was actually extending his hand out to you. Like, so grow up. My friends, as always enjoyed taking this time out of your day to tune into the Arrington Gavin Show. Be sure to tune in Monday through Fridays, on all digital and streaming platforms to the Arrington Gavin Show. We got some great content. We got some great guests in line for you. So be sure to continue to follow us on all social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Rumble channel. Give us 5 stars on our podcast platforms. Comment. We truly appreciate it. Until next time, my friends, y'all take care. Stay blessed. Stay safe out there. And I will talk to you next time here on the Arrington Gavin Show. I'm out.